Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to Lefties Losing It. She is back, the cackler-in-chief Kamala Harris, the woman who squandered $1.8 billion to lose every swing state, the Electoral College and the popular vote. Well, she was back doing what she does best, giggling like a giddy schoolgirl on prom night.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Oh, it's good to be home. Thank you. Oh, hi, I'm Andrea. Hi, everyone. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. And Dougie's here, too.
Dougie's here too. Oh gosh, I really thought we had been unburdened by what has been, but here she is again. Now, this was her first major speech since losing the election in a landslide, and she chose to speak at an event run by a mob called Emerge, an activist group that recruits and trains Democrat women to run for public office. And despite being VP in the administration that caused unprecedented damage to the US, from the border crisis where they allowed millions to flood in illegally each year to presiding over numerous disastrous policies, from Bidenomics to the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, despite all that, Kamala was full of criticism of the Trump administration, and she told the crowd of Lefties Losing It that despite the election result, the country belonged to them.
This country is ours. It doesn't belong to whoever is in the White House. It belongs to you.
We love a little stern Kamala, but really that ain't her. She's the word salad queen, and she delivered another doozy with this elephant tale. Yes, elephants. Maybe they understand the significance of the passage of time.
Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? Google it if you've not seen it. So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
Just wow, you dodged a bullet, America. Though I can say this about Kamala, the lady can dance. She's got some moves and she's learnt some more. It's part of how she maintains what they say is her black joy.
So how are you in this moment maintaining your black joy? All right, sway. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now cross. All right, there we go.
It's little wonder that White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had this to say about Kamala's big media day.
Just to add on the Kamala Harris point, I think I speak for everyone at the White House. We encourage Kamala Harris to continue going out and do speaking engagements.
Let's have a little trip to Germany now and see how the mad Berliners are protesting against milk. Yes, milk is apparently inhuman and inhumane. Try to see if you can figure out what's happening here.
I love my women and look after them as members of our family with a high standard of welfare you can trust. Just look at these amazing milk producers. Real showstoppers.
Let's stay in Europe and go across to Sweden, the land of the little doom goblin herself, Greta Thunberg. And though she's moved on to being an anti-Israeli activist nowadays, some of her fellow countrymen are vandalising Tesla outlets in some, I don't know, misguided protest against what exactly? And then we had this performance at a Tesla dealership in Stockholm. I think that's all the European tomfoolery I can handle for one day. Let's go to Harvard now. You know, the once prestigious Ivy League school, the pinnacle of academic excellence. Let's see what leftism has done to that institution. Yep, that's a Harvard graduation ceremony which is producing graduates like this.
In this spirit, we call into the space all those who are not able to be present with us today. The Indigenous people who have been displaced and removed, our people of conscience who are incarcerated and living in exile, our North Stars, Leonard Peltier, Mumia Abu-Jabal, Assata Shakur, and every Palestinian prisoner who deserves rest, celebration, and the community that we have.
The institution's commencement views the paper of a Harvard diploma as an opening to the gates of enlightenment. But the people's commencement understands that it is the spirit of resistance as exemplified through the martyrs of Palestine who light the path forward for us all.
The whole class, Free University of Palestine, in the yard, 2024, I salute you.
Now, we all remember Neil Young humiliating himself by firstly boycotting Spotify in protest against Joe Rogan after trying to get the world's most popular podcaster cancelled for so-called misinformation during the COVID era. He wrote, "They can have Rogan or Young, not both." Yes, he wrote that in an open letter. The silly old delusional fool was back at Spotify with his tail between his legs. Seems money trumped his principles. Now he has launched another protest with a song lambasting Elon Musk. So let's see what he's singing here. He's singing what?
If you're a fascist, get a Tesla. It's electric. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, that's as bad as I expected. If you're wondering what he's saying there, because it's very hard to tell, the lyrics are, if you're a fascist, get a Tesla. It's electric. It doesn't matter. I'm going to play you the next 10 seconds. I think that's all we can stomach for one day. Get ready to cringe some more.
If you're a Democrat, taste your freedom. Get whatever you want. Taste your freedom.
Somehow that next 10 seconds was even worse than the first. And the lyrics there, and I have to tell you the lyrics because it just sounds like incoherent wailing. But what he's saying there is, if you're a Democrat, taste your freedom, get whatever you want, taste your freedom. Profound stuff. Now, let's check in on some lefty v lefty violence. I hate it when they turn on each other. Here is veteran Democrat strategist and Trump deranged loon James Carville talking to a junior Democrat strategist and Trump deranged vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, David Hogg. Grab the popcorn, folks. This is fun.
I think it is abominable that an official of a political party who is being paid or supported by that political party to go out and raise money to defeat members of the same party. I think that's a jackassery of the highest level.
James, can you tell me what
if you want to beat Republicans, of which of course lefties never do, they never even run against them. That's one thing. I'm not into beating Democrats. I'm into beating Republicans. And I'll tell you right to your face, I think it's abominable that you have anything to do with the DNC.
Oh, it gets better. James Carville is extra spicy here.
I called on Joe Biden to drop out of the race in 2022. Where were you? Where was the young cool generation coming? Did they step in there and say something? I spoke out against the horrific language of identity politics. Where was everybody else?
What is your plan to deal with our abominable approval rating?
Win elections.
Ah, so good. Now let's hear from Hollywood has-been Sean Penn and listen to this absolutely unhinged rant about Donald Trump. This is the most asinine analogy you'll hear all year.
And I do think it's a reasonable theory that Donald Trump is not unlike the spouse of someone who leaves him perhaps for another, who then murders their former partner because if they can't have her, nobody can. And I think Donald Trump in his solipsism may have that relationship with the world, and that this destruction is in part a power play and also a literal intention of his final out.
You think he'll try to stay on?
I think he might try to destroy the world before he ages out of life.
Now, do you think there was any pushback any pushback against that madness from Jim Acosta or Eric Fang Solwell. No, instead we got this from the man who had an affair with a Chinese Communist Party spy. The nerve of this dude, this is just more TDS lunacy.
In the history of dictators or those who aspire to be dictators, there's never a succession plan, right? There's never, and that's what worries me is if he doesn't believe there's somebody who can protect him, that you will see him ratchet up what he's willing to do to the country.
These people are nuts and massive hypocrites because I remember Sean Penn. This is a dude who actually loves real despots, real brutal dictators like the one who helped destroy Venezuela. Yes, neo-Marxist Sean Penn was very fond of cozying up to the Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chavez.
I will wish him nothing but that great strength he has shown over and over again. It is only possible to be so inspiring as he is.
Yeah, he's talking about the dictator there, seriously. Now, I tell you, TDS is a chronic condition. Indeed, if you believe the president, it is a fatal condition.
They suffer from a thing called TDS. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
TDS, it's a horrible, horrible terminal disease. It destroys the mind. It destroys the mind before the body, but the body eventually goes. TDS is Trump derangement syndrome.
He really is the funniest president we've ever had. And probably the most miserable first lady we've ever had is Michelle Obama. This woman can't find anything to be joyful about. We've heard her whinge incessantly about, well, everything on her low-rating podcast. She has even found a way to complain about the financial cost of being the first family.
It's expensive to live in the White House. As many people don't know, I mean, much is not covered. You're paying for every bit of food that you eat. You're not paying for housing and the staff in it. But everything, even travel, if you're not traveling with the president, if your kids are coming on a Bright Star, which is the First Lady's plane, we had to pay for their travel to be on the plane. It is an expensive proposition.
And it's time to check in again on the lunatic asylum masquerading as a news network known as MSNBC. And let's listen to this hot take from Joe Scarborough.
AOC may be more progressive than a lot of people. I also understand that she's one of the most articulate, exciting people in the Democratic field. She goes out with Bernie Sanders, and yeah, she just draws so many people. It's very good, very effective in hearings. They need somebody young like AOC, and again, it's not about ideology. She can carry the message forward for a Democratic Party that really needs to reach out to younger Americans.
Yes, let's have a look at just how articulate and impressive AOC is, prepared to be dazzled by her rare genius.
Even as a waitress, if any of you all else have gone like completely mad,
it's like whatever, and like or whatever, like just like it's like this
What people are starting to see, at least in the occupation of Palestine.
You use the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that?
I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing in some of these areas and places where Palestinians are experiencing difficulty in access to their housing and homes.
Do you think you can expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd also I am not the expert on geopolitics on this issue,
Oh dear, that's AOC over the years. She really is the future. Please make her the leader, because I think she'll make Kamala look like a visionary. Now, Joe Scarborough has form for saying spectacularly stupid things. It's a requirement of all MSNBC anchors to say silly things or just lie to their audience. Remember when he said this not long before Joe Biden was forced to announce the end of his re-election campaign?
I've said it for years now. He's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
Best Biden ever, and F you if you can't handle the truth. Dear, dear. Now, Joe Scarborough was telling the dim-witted MSNBC audience not long after that Kamala had it in the bag. She was going to beat Trump.
When you start seeing numbers, real numbers, like what's going on in Georgia, suddenly you feel like telling Democrats that are bitching and moaning about what the Harris campaign's doing, hey, calm down. You know what? Victory is in sight in less than 3 weeks if you go out, work hard, and do your job. The opponent is imploding, and Harris is doing better than ever.
Victory is in sight. Sadly, it wasn't. It was a landslide loss that was in sight. But you know what? We never got any apologies for those untruths, but we did get an apology in recent days from MSNBC after they aired this bit of fake news.
What do you make of that he's just been a little less visible than I think a lot of people, Trump observers, expected he would be?
Yeah, well, reportedly he's been visible at nightclubs far more than he has been on the 7th floor of the Hoover building.
Oh, really? It wasn't long before we got this correction.
And now let's circle back to a segment from Friday's show. Frank Figliuzzi was on that morning during this hour discussing the work of administration officials. At the end of that segment, Figliuzzi said that FBI Director Kash Patel has reportedly been more visible at nightclubs than at his office at FBI headquarters. This was a misstatement. We have not verified that claim.
And here is another MSNBC favourite, this time appearing on another platform. This is Elie Mystal. And this lefty losing it loves illegal immigration so much, he doesn't even care if an illegal immigrant kills him. He wants you to know that.
Why do I care what their status was when they committed the crime? If you can prove they committed a crime. I say in the book, if I get shot, if I get murdered by an undocumented immigrant, please tell my children I did not care that they were undocumented.
Right. Now to New York Attorney General Letitia James, who was elected on a platform of getting Donald Trump and who is facing serious investigations over alleged mortgage fraud. Well, she's on the warpath.
You want me to sit in my seat and stand idly by and allow this craziness to happen? You can come after me if you want, but you elected me to stand up. You elected me to use the law. You elected me to go to court. You elected me to continue to challenge this administration. You elected me to stand up for the least of God's children. You elected me to continue fighting on.
Now, this is just maddening. First, the heartbreaking story of two young siblings missing in Nova Scotia for the better part of a week. Canadian police are beginning to scale back search efforts. They say there are low odds the children will still be alive. But listen to how they start a press conference into this tragic story with an inane land acknowledgement. This is Canada.
First, I acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years.
Yep, Canada, a country that has suffered enormous damage thanks to the far-left policies of the Trudeau government, and they just voted for more of the same. Let's look at a couple celebrating Mark Carney's big win.
Canada, you did it. You chose hope over hate, unity over division.
Trump, take note. This is what democracy looks like.
Mark Carney is the leader of Canada and what the world needs right now.
Someone that's ready to stand strong against Trump and defend democracy.
Tonight, Canada sent a message. Tyranny doesn't win here. Fear doesn't win here. Division doesn't win here.
Now, I've tried all week to save you from the dangerous weapon-grade levels of cringe of this following interview, a podcast featuring Meghan Markle, but alas, we must all suffer together. Here is Meghan talking to a woman called Jamie Kern-Lima, who seems to be even more fake and insufferable than the Duchess.
Very first question, because I think in friendship it's so important. And I think so many people also have this question for you is, Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind. I am. I'm better than okay. How are you?
I know you always make it about me. Today, which by the way, I just have to say, you are the most generous friend. You show up for your friends. Today, I just get to talk about you, which I'm excited about.
Yes, it really is that awful. The whole hour-long ordeal may have even been longer. I may have blacked out from smacking myself in the head. How else are you supposed to deal with tripe like this?
Oh my gosh, I work so hard, and I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard. And I'm still working hard, right? The moment that everything sells out, it doesn't mean that we're done.
Yeah.
It means we're working on replenishment and what are the next SKUs and what's the next tranche of products and what's the timing on that and writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line and what's the cadence of it and what's the photography that we want to do and what do I want to wear for those shoots, while also editing all the time-coded notes for season 2 of With Love Meghan, and then being in edits for the podcast and being a mom and a wife and a friend.
Yeah.
Those are all jobs.
Yeah, Meghan wants you to know that she's so busy. She's got no staff. She's out there writing the social media captions herself. So busy. And don't forget, she's a princess too, and Harry is slaying dragons to rescue her.
Look what we've built. We've built a beautiful life, and we have 2 healthy, beautiful children. And, and I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers, when you get to the final level, and what's the goal in Super Mario? They're like, slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband.
Who is Harry rescuing her from? The family she abandoned before making him abandon his? But don't feel too sorry for Prince Harry. This is a middle-aged man, after all. He's about 40. He chose to embarrass his family. He brought tons of grief to the ailing grandmother who supported him throughout his life, Queen Elizabeth II, in her final days. And he now wants to rewrite history.
You accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
The British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they were racist?
She said there were troubling comments about...
there was concern about his skin colour.
Right.
Does he think we've forgotten this diabolical travesty?
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? Who is having that conversation? There is a conversation. Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
There's several conversations.
There's a conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be.
Now it's time for some misandry. Here is a young lass who dreams of a world without men.
You men are not going to like me for saying this, but you know what? I don't care. America, I think it's time we form a state where only women can live. No men allowed. Just an estrogen-filled utopia where we can all finally live in peace.
Oh, that sounds pretty boring to me, and I'm not sure which ladies are going to sign up to do these very necessary jobs. I think we need to see more of this oil rig work for education purposes, of course. Now, you may recall our favourite lefty losing it Boston City Councillor, Tania Anderson. If you don't remember her, let's have a look at her previous work.
People are not innocent until proven guilty. People are guilty first. People are crucified. People are lynched. Same old tricks, same masters though. Fight, don't fight. What the do I have to do in this council in order to get respect as a black woman. I'm not afraid of anybody here.
Well, she's off to prison, folks. She's pled guilty to federal corruption charges, but remarkably, she hasn't resigned as a councillor while she reflects on her pain.
Tonight, Boston City Councilor Tania Anderson says she loves her constituents and isn't sure when she'll resign. WBZ's Julie McDonald has the latest on the saga that has rocked City Hall.
To my constituents, I love you. I love you dearly.
Outside of federal court Monday after pleading guilty to corruption charges, Boston City Councilor Tania Anderson said she's reflecting on her faith and practicing gratitude for the pain.